Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 14 of what if Naruto pushed himself to his limit. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also stay in tune, I'm going to be posting a new episode of what if Naruto got his memory sealed away on this channel. So stay tuned for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And over on Anime King, I'm going to be posting what if Naruto was born in the Uzumaki clan. So stay tuned for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And I'm also going to be posting what if Naruto was the Osusuke king. So stay tuned for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last part we left off, Naruto helped Jiraiya as they face off against Amaki and his creation, as Naruto borrowed chakra from the fox and quickly annihilated the beast as he smashed the Rasengan right into Amaki, as Jiraiya was thankful for him as he told her that he could help her, as she asked him what would it cost, but Naruto told her it wouldn't cost anything, she would just have to return to Konoha with him. As she accepted, well, she didn't have another choice. Arriving at Konoha, something was wrong, as Hanabi didn't want to look Naruto in the eyes, and when he called her Bachan, she didn't curse or say anything about it. As Naruto noticed when he talked about his bloodline test, she got a look on her face, but he quickly went away. She found something when they were studying his blood, but she was scared to tell him and she didn't want to talk about it. But Naruto decided not to push her since he couldn't force her to answer his questions, but he knew that something was up with her, and she didn't want to tell him though. The next day, Naruto studied Anko's seal along with Iruka there, as he told her he will work on it and try to place another seal on it to fully constrict it or to remove it completely. As Naruto went to the Hokage's tower, Shizune was off as she was now focusing more on the hospital, and to his surprise, Jiraiya was a new receptionist, as the scales were gone completely, as she was dressed in a yellow sunflower dress, as she decided to stay at Konoha. As Naruto went to talk to Hanabi, as she told him that she wanted to be the proctor of the Chunin exams this year. Then having a problem with that, he went as he visited Shikamaru and Kakashi. As Shikamaru will take the first phase, Kakashi will take the second, and Naruto will take the rest. After that, his friends took him out to get a drink. Kiba and all of them, Kiba being a lightweight, got drunk really fast, as he noticed there was a disturbance, as UJ was surrounded by a lot of men. As they were fighting, well, she was beating the crap out of them, as Naruto decided to take her home because she was already so drunk, as she didn't want to tell him where she lived, and after so long he kinda forgot, so he decided to take her to his place. Yuji woke up the next morning and she didn't know where she was. Looking around, she smelled something heavenly as she went downstairs to see Naruto in the kitchen cooking, as he told her to have a seat. Talking to him, she realized he was a clone, as he told her that boss would be here soon. As the real Naruto arrived, Yuji felt something strange. Sitting here eating with him, she felt like she was betraying Hayate, as she was feeling strange feelings for Naruto in front of her. And she couldn't do that to Hayate memories, as she got up and ran off, but Naruto held on to her, as he told her to let him be here for her. But she told him she can't, as she broke away from him and headed through the door. As Naruto knew that he would have to do something about that, he couldn't let her go down this dark path, as she's been taking a lot of serious extra missions and just focusing on missions alone, not even caring about her health. So yeah guys, that was basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say we begin this new episode? Are you ready, Anko? Naruto asked as him, Anko and Iruka found themselves in the hospital once again. As the month went by rather fast, Today was the last day before the Chunin exams begin, and Naruto found a way, despite not having much time. Seeing that he was busy with Shikamaru and Kakashi with the Chunin exams, he found a way to get rid of the curse mark. As he learned two things in his study, the first of the seal was a transference of a bloodline that existed in someone. Jiraiya told him that it was a man named Ichigo, who was considered to be psychotic and violent. He was in one of Orochimaru's hideouts. They have not been able to find out anything else, but it was enough. The second is that the seal was made from a mixture of Orochimaru blood and Ichigo's and chakra. This is why Orochimaru had to bite the person to inject the enzyme in them. Each of his fangs contained a portion of his chakra and Ichigo's, as Naruto had created a large seal in array, as this one was mixed with his own chakra that he will use to completely override Orochimaru's chakra. In essence, he was going to fight Orochimaru for dominance, for control of the seal, and then he could simply send it away. Anko nodded to Naruto's question. I was ready the moment I got this thing. Alright then, I want you to sit in the center of the seal array and we will begin, Naruto said. Anko gave another nod as she kissed Iruka on the cheek as she sat down in the center of the seal array. Anko, this is going to hurt, he said, but I need to activate the cursed seal. As Anko gritted her teeth as she activated the seal, as Naruto started to paint over it, every part of it. The process was only around 15 minutes, but to Anko, it felt like an eternity. Now comes the hard part, Naruto said, as he pumped his chakra into it, trying to overpower Orochimaru's chakra. Anko collapsed down as she started to scream out in pain and agony, as both Orochimaru and Naruto chakra was fighting for dominance. Iruka was about to rush over, but Naruto glanced at him, stopping him. If he interfered now, his chakra could destroy the complete balance between the seal. As sweat was building on Naruto's forehead as it continued, as the seal changed from blue to black, and then back to black, and then changed back to blue. The problem was, Naruto couldn't use a lot of his chakra because too much, and Anko would suffer from chakra overload. Too little, and he would not get rid of Orochimaru's chakra completely. As Naruto gave one last push of his chakra, as its seal turned extremely blue, and then stopped that way. As Naruto sighed in relief, Anko had passed out already in the process, as he picked her up. As Naruto looked at the cursed seal was now blue, as Orochimaru's chakra was completely gone. As Naruto then placed his hand over it and started to suck out his chakra out of it, removing the curse mark in the process. With his chakra completely gone, the seal just faded away like it was never there. As Naruto looked over at Iruka, "Get her a trench coat," he said. As Naruto got the trench coat and wrapped it around her, as he handed her to Iruka, "It's done. The seal is gone." As Iruka gave a large smile as he looked at her neck, the seal was completely gone. "Thank you, Naruto," he said. "Not at all," Naruto said. "You didn't think that I would let my precious people like that suffer, now would you? But make sure that you give her a lot of fluids, and make sure that she at least wait a month before doing anything that require use of her chakra." Iruka nodded as he thanked Naruto once more before he left to get Anko home to get some rest. Time skip. Shikamaru muttered troublesome as the Genins who passed the small genjutsu were now filtering in the room. The Chunin watchers were on the side of the room as Shikamaru was standing at the front. On the wall there was dozens of posters as the Genins caught that. As Shikamaru waited for at least 30 minutes as everyone got there. "Alright, you troublesome kids," he said. "As you know, this is the first stage of the Chunin exams. Make sure you listen because I'm only going to explain these rules once. First rule, there is no talking during this test. If I see you talking, 2 points will be docked off your paper. For those who get seen talking 3 times, you will be disqualified, no talking. Second rule, you're not to look anywhere but in front of you. If you get caught doing this 3 times, you will be disqualified. Get caught 1 time or 2, you will lose 4 points. Next rule, if you get caught cheating, 2 points will be removed. And you already know what's gonna happen if you get caught cheating 3 times. Now, for the final rule. This is a team test, so if one of your team members fail, that means the entire team will fail." The Genins erupted into shouts, telling Shikamaru that it wasn't fair and that was the dumbest rule they ever heard. Shikamaru simply groaned. Why did I have to be picked for such a troublesome mission, he thought. Meanwhile, Naruto was currently sitting in the Jonin lounge. as he was a proctor for one of these exams, so it would be good to hang out with his fellow Jonins. Kakashi was there, who was reading his book and giggling. Genma, who had gotten a genin team about 2 years ago, was there as well. Ebisu was there as well, and surprisingly enough, Anko was there as well. Despite everything, since their mission, they kind of grew a strange relationship, well, like a brother-like sister relationship, with a creepy, blood-loving psychopathic sister, but nonetheless a sister. When Iruka was off at the academy, the both of them would hang out and get dongos together, and spar together and all that. As Naruto turned and looked towards Ebisu, so, Konohamaru and his team are in the Chunin exam this year. Yes, Ebisu says he adjusts his sunglasses. They still have much to learn, but they have gotten stronger. And they understand the value of teamwork. I figure it will be best for them to see some of the competition. That way, they don't make Chunin this year. They will see what it feels like to be a part of the Chunin exam, and what else they need to work on and improve. Naruto nodded as Genma spoke up. I hear that you're actually one of the proctors this year. Oh, of course, Naruto said. Bachan figured I was the best man for the job. See how totally awesome I am. For a moment, everyone was silent, as most of them didn't hear Naruto's suffix that he called Tsunade Bachan, as they realized who he was talking about. As Ebisu was rather surprised, Genma made several choking noises, as Kakashi simply ignored the entire thing, as he gave a perverted giggle, as Anko simply burst out laughing. Damn kid, said Genma, I always knew you had balls, with those damn pranks you used to pull and all, but calling the Hokage something like that. You think that's bad, Anko said. You should hear what he calls Jiraiya. As everyone turned towards Naruto, making his sweat drop. Well, you see, he proclaimed himself to be a super pervert, so I figured a good name for him would be Ero-sensei, or if he's not doing anything worthy of a sensei, you could just call him Ero-seni, Naruto said. Meanwhile, in the land of hot water, Jiraiya was spying on the girl's bathhouse as he sneezed. Did you hear that? It must be a pervert. Let's get him! Jiraiya's eyes widened as several females in towel managed to get several weapons. One of the girls pointed towards Jiraiya. There he is! Jiraiya quickly leaped down from his position as he started to run. I don't know how, but I feel like this is a kid's fault, he thought. I'll get you for this, Naruto, he said, as he ran off as he started to chase after him. Meanwhile, I take that back, Genma said. You have to have the biggest pair of balls to call two Sanins like that, especially your Hokage. Oh, he's got a pair, right, said Anko. In fact, if it was for Iruka-kun, I would take this kid home, and Anko, Naruto said. We don't really need to hear that. Anko pouted for a second before looking at the clock. The lazy bastard should be finished with his test now. As she looked over at Kakashi, who just released another perverted giggle. Hey, Cyclops, aren't you going to go over there or something, she asked. Kakashi looked up from his book. Nah, I still got at least 3 hours. As everyone's sweat dropped, so all this time, he was being late on purpose. Meanwhile, with Shikamaru, as other than the first test with the Genins having the answers were on the poster, but seeing that you couldn't look in front of you, the seats were placed in a way for a member to spread the information with his friends. This meant that they had to establish some form of communication since they were unable to talk. Some of them do this through Morse code. Some of them do it through foot nudges. In the end, the last question was a riddle that you have to do the previous answers to get. In the end, 32 of them had passed out of 72. Troublesome. I thought there would be less, said Shikamaru. Oh well, at least they were no longer his responsibility. Congratulations to those who have passed, said Shikamaru in his same lazy voice. All of you will now have to wait till your next proctor get here. Good luck in your second exam, and I hope never to see your troublesome face again, he said. With that, Shikamaru and the Chunins left the room in a poof of smoke. Man, said Konohamaru as he stretched out in his seat. I'm so glad that's over with, he said. As he released a yawn, that test was absolutely boring, and it was hard and pointless. I hear that the second exam takes place in the Forest of Death, said Udon. I heard a lot of rumors about that place, said Mogi. That they are giant insects and tigers that love to feast on human flesh. It's supposed to be a dangerous place. Who cares how dangerous it is, said Konohamaru as he placed his foot on a chair. I will face anything that comes my way. That is the only way I will be able to defeat boss. because we will fight and I will show him how strong I am. As Mogi and Udon just look amused at Konohamaru as he went on one of his rants about how he was going to beat Naruto. Ever since news about what Naruto didn't care reached Konoha, the young Sarutobi has been pushing himself hard to beat Naruto. Of course, they could not blame him. They also felt a bit of hero worship for the blonde shinobi as well. Meanwhile, in the room, man, this is so boring. An orange-eared genin from Kira said. He looked to be about his mid to late teens, as he was 5'8". He was wearing a pair of white, black cameo pants and sandals. He had on a sleeveless black shirt with his headband wrapped around his arm. In his left hand was a large black sword with no tip on the ground as he twirled it around in his hand. Seriously, he said, could this be any more boring? Shut up, Ichigo, said the other male on the team. This man stood at a height of 5'7". He had red hair that was tied up, making his head look like a pineapple, as his headband was on his forehead. Around his eyes was a weird looking tattoo that kind of looked like seals. He was wearing cameo pants, but except they were in the opposite color, and he had on a long sleeve shirt. You're just like that because that small brain of yours cannot comprehend anything, he said. Ichigo growled as he stood up. You want to say it again, Renji? He asked. Did you not hear me the first time? Said Renji with a smirk. You better watch yourself, Squiggles. Otherwise, I'll have to beat the crap out of you again, Ichigo said. What did you call me, Carrot Top? Said Renji. You heard me, Pineapple. Soon the two boys were face to face and glaring at each other. Will you two stop fighting? Asked the only girl in their group. She had black hair and black eyes. She was only 5'1" as she was wearing a black loose shirt and a black skirt going down with black sandals as her headband was around her neck. But the boys didn't listen to her as they kept on cursing. Several tick marks came in her forehead as she shouted, will you two sit down and shut the hell up? Instantly, the two boys were in their seat along with everyone else in the room. Sarukia. They said the pale face, not wanting to piss their teammate off. Eventually, Janine started to talk again as they waited for the second proctor of the exams. And waited. And waited. And waited. And waited. God damn it, said Konohamaru. Where the hell is the second proctor? I swear if I have to wait one more minute, I'm gonna beat the hell out of him. Many of the others nodded in agreement, as at that moment the proctor walked in. As their sweat dropped, this man even looked lazier than the first one. He looked up from his porno book, as he looked up at the students, in a really lazy eye. There's more than I thought there would be, he mumbled to himself. Konohamaru and Ichigo quickly stood up from their seats and yelled, You're late! Well, said Kakashi in a smile. When I was coming here, I ran into a cat that was stuck in a tree, so I had to get him down. But then I found out it was a black cat, so I had to take the long way around. But then I got lost on the road of life. All of them were so shocked, as they couldn't believe what a lame excuse. They couldn't find the words to say anything. Anyways, meet me at the entrance of the training ground 44 in 1 hour. Those who don't make it in 1 hour will be automatically disqualified, he said. With that, he disappeared in a poof of smoke, leaving the grumbling genius to get up, as they headed to training ground 44. It took some time, but they got there. Kakashi pulled out the bells. Alright, this is the second stage of the Chunin exams. I would like to welcome you all to the Forest of Death. Despite his voice being lazy, Kakashi started to release some killing intent that made them sweat. Now, the purpose of this exam is rather simple. Each team will get a single bell. Kakashi lifted the bell and jingled it. Your purpose is to get at least one other bell to pass. You will have 5 days to do this. However, the teammate that doesn't have a bell will automatically fail, he said. As Kakashi watched as they erupted into shouts and anger, it always amused him to rile them up. Finally deciding that they had shouted enough, he shut them up with a burst of killing intent. Good, now that I got your attention, I need you all to do something else. A Chunin then flashed beside Kakashi with a sheet of paper. As he pulled one of the papers, because we have a lot of people dying here every year, we're going to have you sign these forms. Otherwise, we will not have a way to claim that we're not responsible when you return your corpse back to your village. As all of them turned pale, as he simply gave him an eye smile. As the papers were handed out, and they got signed. As Kakashi then pointed them over to their gates, and they were all told to begin. They started to dash off. Kakashi then pulled back his book. So, what do you think, he asked. I can't believe you gave them a bell test. Seriously, it's like you have some kind of a bell fetish, said Naruto, as he came and leaned up against a tree. Hey, I'll have you know the belt is a Team 7 tradition. Right, I suppose they, said Naruto. He was going to say more when several screams pierced the air. Well, looks like the fun has started already, Naruto said. Seems so, said Kakashi, as he flipped to another page of his book. Well, I'm going to go in. See you later, Sensei, Naruto said. Time skip. Naruto was currently in one of the rooms that was reserved for the proctor, as he was lying down in the bed, as something was currently lying down on top of him. He looked down the beautiful girl. Unfortunately, seeing that they were in the middle of the second day of student exams, and in Konoha, Naruto couldn't take her out. It was the one and only Konan. But Konan didn't really care. As long as she was with him, nothing else mattered. Morning sleeping beauty, Naruto said. Konan lifted up her head as she looked at him with those beautiful golden eyes. Konan smiled as she leaned in and gave him a kiss, which Naruto happily returned. As Naruto felt a shiver run down his spine, as he was now confirmed that she wear her night clothes just to tease him, as she has been getting rather bold in her teasing him, but he wouldn't complain. Morning yourself, said Konan, as she mumbled in his lips as they continued to kiss. When they broke apart, Konan looked at him. You know, I had a really good dream last night. Oh? I hope I was in it, Naruto said, as he let his hand trail down her back. You were, she said, moaning a bit from Naruto trailing down her back. I dreamt that we finally achieved true peace. We got married and had a family. We had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Our son name was Yaiko. As Naruto smiled, he closed his eyes. That does sound like a good dream. When we have a son, we will name him in honor of your friend. She nuzzled up against his chest. So, what about our daughter, Naruto asked. I don't know. I didn't hear her name in my dream, she said. What would you name our daughter? Naruto closed his eyes for a few seconds, as he then opened it and smiled. Kushina, he said. After your mother, said Konan. Naruto nodded. Yes, because I never knew my parents. I am unable to feel close to them as I want. Part of me loves them, but a part of me doesn't really know enough to love them. I don't even know what they're like. All I know are the stories. But I don't really know what they're like. But I feel if I name our child after her, I can be somewhere closer to my mom, you know. I do, said Konan. I only knew a bit about my parents. They died when I was young, but I can't remember their names anymore. I was about 6-year-old when they died, 7 when Yaiko found me. As Naruto pulled her closer and comforted her. After a few minutes, so, what has the Akatsuki been up to, Naruto asked. Well, so far, they only have the Rokibai on standby, which Deidara and Tobi just captured. As Naruto nodded, as he realized Konan quoted the name Tobi, as he knew who she was talking about. I think Kisame and Itachi are currently going after the Gobei, but I can't be sure. Since you killed 3 of their members, the others have been forced to switch targets to compensate. I'm sorry, she said as she lowered her head slightly. A shame, I've not been able to give better information. Naruto frowned as he lifted her face up as he placed a kiss on her lips before speaking. Konan-chan, you know I don't really care about the information. The only reason I'm letting you stay with them is because about Gaara, Yuji-chan, and B. The fact that you have information on the Akatsuki is more than enough to help, but I personally would like it if you stay with me. Konan smiled at him as she was glad that he was so concerned. Thank you, but you know how much I wish to do that. I just can't right now. As Naruto nodded as he indeed knew if she left now, it will become obvious that she was a spy and a traitor. They would then hunt her down and kill her. Naruto knew while he was strong enough to fight everyone in the Akatsuki, he still might not be able to defeat Pain, and he knew for a fact that right now he couldn't defeat Madara. I know, said Naruto. It doesn't mean I can't dream, right? As a smirk then came on Naruto's face, Konan was surprised when he flipped her over, as he was now over her. You know, I'm kind of tired about talking about this Akatsuki business. A smirk came on her face. Then, what do you want to talk about? As Naruto smirked, the rest of their time together, they used their lips for something other than discussion. The 5 days come and pass. As Nade looked over at the students, there was a total of 24 Genins there. That was even more than when the Konoha 11 was doing the exams. It meant they would also have to have a preliminary test. She should have known that Kakashi wouldn't make the test too hard because he was too lazy and always reading that damn book. Standing a little distance away from Snady, Kakashi felt a shiver run down his spine. He just shrugged it off his nerves. Snazzy then decided to get the ball rolling. I would like to congratulate you all for making this far, but I regret to inform you. But everyone came to a complete stop when ice started to shoot out of the ground, creating a strange ice castle. It was like something you'd find in a fantasy book. Once the ice castle was fully created, it started to crack as lightning started to shoot out of the cracks. Finally, the entire thing exploded, forcing everyone to cover their eyes. When they opened them again, they saw one, Naruto, Uzumaki Namikaze, standing where the ice castle was. As Naruto grinned at the surprised looks and shocks and envy. "Hokage-sama, why don't I explain what is going on?" he said. "Oh, okay," Snazzy said, in a rather dumbfounded voice. "Alright, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, and I'm going to be your proctor for the third exam." As the stone ninjas who passed looked at Naruto, as they know that name. And I haven't even released my killing intent yet, Naruto said, seeing the look on their faces. Now, as Hokage-sama was about to say, unfortunately, too many teams passed the first test. This means we need to decrease the number of Genins who will be in the last exam. That is why we're going to be holding a preliminary. "Wait, you mean right now?" a Genin from the grass asked. "But we just got out of that damn forest," one of the Genins from Konoha shouted. "Not my problem," Naruto said. "If you didn't take so long, you'd have more time to rest." "Now then, I want all of you to move up to the fighter's balcony when your name appears on the board. I want you to come downstairs and on the arena floor." As the Genins, names start to run through the board before selecting two random ones. The first two matches passed by in a blur to Naruto, as he didn't find anything special about them. The first match was a man from the stone named Kakashi Motaka, and a sand ninja named Otane Shinchi. Otane was able to win by using a wind jutsu to cut right through the man's stone armor and knock him out by smashing some of the excess rock on the stone ninja temple. The second fight was between a Kunoichi named Akira Kazuki and a grass ninja named Kaya Tenede. Akira was able to win by using lightning jutsu to scramble the boy's nerves and knock him out. The next match was Renji versus Kina, as Naruto watched the two ninjas fought. Kina was a stone shinobi as he had black hair and grey eyes. As Naruto watched the stone ninja fire off stone bullets from his mouth, as Renji had pulled his katana. Renji dodged, and the one that he couldn't dodge, he sliced right through them. As Kina then pulled out a kunai as both of them started to clash in close combat battle, but Renji with his blade seemed to be more superior by far. In the end, Renji made the stone ninja duck under a slash, and then smashed his foot right in the man's face, knocking him unconscious. Winner by knockout is Renji, Naruto announced, as Renji smirked back up to his team. The next match was a Kumo shinobi named Raiden and a Konoha shinobi named Dayton Konakatsu, as the match was fairly. That was until the Kumo shinobi started to channel lightning chakra into his hands. Even if he didn't hit his opponent, the shock would still spark out and hit him. The Konoha shinobi received so many electric burns, eventually he just passed out from the pain. The next match was Konohamaru versus Nodaru, as Konohamaru leaped off the railing after his friends wished him luck. The other Genin was a grass ninja, as he was fairly built. He had long black hair, and he looked like a fighter type. He did not react to Konohamaru's eagerness and merely got into his taijutsu stance. "Are both fighters ready?" Naruto asked, received a nod from Nodaru. "Of course I'm ready," said Konohamaru. "Let's do this." "Alright then, begin," Naruto said. Nodaru rushed at Konohamaru as Konohamaru speed through a hand sign and placed hand in his mouth. A decent sized fireball shot from Konohamaru's mouth, as Nodaru had to roll to the other side as he wouldn't get turned into a crypt. When he got back up, Konohamaru was no longer there. He then had to quickly jump away to avoid several kunais and shurikens. Coming up, he saw Konohamaru to the left. He rushed up to the young Konoha Genin before Konohamaru slammed his hand on the ground. "Earth style. Earth flowing river," said Konohamaru. A river of mud came from the ground and smashed into the grass ninja, knocking him off balance. As Naruto saw, Konohamaru went through even more hand signs. "Fire style. Fire bullet." A small fire bullet was launched from Konohamaru's mouth, igniting the mud river and everything that in it. Konohamaru waited until his attack died down, but Nodaru was not there, as a fist slammed into the back of his head. As Konohamaru was knocked down to the ground, thankfully he was able to dodge a feat that was nearly buried into his head, as both him and Nodaru started to attack in taijutsu. However, Konohamaru was not near the boy's level as taijutsu. as the boy was delivering strikes to his body as bruises started to appear all over him. Realizing he had to get away from the boy, Konohamaru grabbed several smoke bombs as he threw them, as he jumped back. As Konohamaru gained some distance, he tried to think of a plan. He had already used too much chakra. Those jutsu were said to be rank. That is more than many genin could perform, and that left close combat. But taijutsu with this guy was out of the question. Grabbing a scroll from his back, he unsealed what was in it. It was a long black staff. He got into the Sarutobi taijutsu stance as he waited for the smoke to clear. As when the smoke cleared, Nodoru rushed at him, but with the staff, Konohamaru was able to drive Nodoru back. With the staff, he was like a completely different person. He was able to crack Nodoru right over the head as the boy collapsed down to the floor. Winner by knockout is Konohamaru Sarutobi Naruto said with a grin. Yes, Konohamaru said, I'm the best, as he ran up the stairs, getting congratulations from his team. The next match was between the last Stone Shinobi and a Sand Ninja. The Stone Ninja, going by the name Hitori Gozen. The Sand Ninja, Jitori Kartik. This fight lasted a bit longer than the others, seeing that it was a pure taijutsu fight. But in the end, it was the Sand Ninja that came out on top. The next match was Hanabi Hyuga versus Mogi. The two of them walked down and glared at each other as Naruto could tell that they had some kind of rivalry going on. As the two stood opposite side, Naruto asked, "Are both of you ready?" As the both of them nodded. Then, begin! Mogi threw several kunais and shurikens, knowing that close range with the Hyuga was suicide. Hanabi merely dodged and blocked the kunais before continuing on her path towards the other girl. Mogi started to back away as she continued to throw kunais. Unfortunately for her, Hanabi was the worst possible opponent for her. Mogi was a genjutsu and medical ninjutsu type, and she has not been training long under Tsunade to learn the woman's secret strength technique. Genjutsu would not work on Hanabi, and her taijutsu was just subpar since she rarely used it. Despite that, Mogi, when they got close, tried her best, but still Hanabi just shot all of her points. And with a brutal knock, Mogi was knocked flat unconscious. Hanabi was declared the winner. The next match was Rukia versus Taylor Nodamai. Taylor, she was the last grass genin, as both girls didn't say anything to each other. As Naruto asked him if they're ready, the both of them just nodded. As they started to clash, the grass ninja stood no chance as Rukia put on a burst of speed and sliced right into her arm, as her arm went down numb. As she tried her best to throw kunais and shurikens, but she was still no match for Rukia. With her advanced speed, Rukia appeared behind her, with one knocked to the back of the girl's neck. She fell over unconscious. As Naruto declared Rukia the winner. The next match was Udon versus Hakiri, as Hakiri was a sand ninja. As the fight began, Udon threw several kunais as they stuck into the sand ninja's body, but instead of blood, she burst out into sun petals. Udon said a voice. Udon then spun around as he saw Mogi lying on the ground, blood oozing from her. For a second he started to freak out, but then he remembered that Mogi was in the hospital with her points closed. "Release," he said, breaking the genjutsu that was on him, as Akira was right next to him with a kunai in hand. But he ducked under it as he planted his hand on the ground and lashed out a kick, kicking her right in the chest that sent her flying down to the ground. He then attached Ninja Warrior to her kunai as he jumped and thrust it forward. Akira couldn't move fast enough as the wire wrapped around her as Udon pulled it. As she collapsed on the ground, he jumped and landed in front of her and placed a kunai at her neck. "Give up," he said. She blinked in surprise that was just so fast. I surrender," she said. "Winner by forfeit," Udon, Naruto said, as Udon cut the rope and freed her. The next match was between two Konoha genins, and to be honest, Naruto thought that they didn't belong here. Their battle reminded him of Sakura and Ino when they were in the Chunin exams. Like that battle, this ended in a double knockout. The next match was between a Konoha shinobi and a Kumo shinobi that went by so fast. The Kuno shinobi named Odamai, he managed to win rather quickly. As the next match, the final match, was Ichigo versus Choja Vedos. As Ichigo appeared in the ring, taking a few practice swings, as Naruto looked at his blade, it looked like a giant butcher knife. As the other opponent arrived, "Are both fighters ready?" Naruto asked. "Yes," said Gyoza, as he looked over at Ichigo. Of course you're a blondie, said Ichigo. Let's get the party started. Whatever you say, Strawberry, said Naruto. Begin. As soon as Naruto moved away, Ichigo blasted across the ring. As he slashed at his opponent, but his opponent simply sidestepped. The moment the sword hit the ground, it formed a large crater, but Ichigo didn't seem to be bothered by that, as he continued to swipe at his opponent. As the Konoha ninja went through hand sign as he fired a large flame. But as soon as the fire was at least 2 feet, Ichigo blade got surrounded by a blue energy as he sliced the fire in half. As Naruto was analyzing the attack that Ichigo just used, it was similar to the one the samurais used. Naruto looked back at the battle just in time to see Ichigo slam the hilt of the blade right in his opponent's face. The Konoha shinobi collapsed on the ground, completely dazed and out of it. Seeing that he wasn't going to get up anymore, Naruto called the match. Winner, Carrot Top. What did you call me, fish cake? Ichigo asked as he glared at Naruto. What, you don't like your nickname? Well, I suppose I can call you Strawberry again. Now listen here, I don't care if you're S-class shinobi, I'll still kick your ass at Ichigo. Oh, right. Well, let's say by some miracle you do defeat me. You know that Mei-chan will melt your balls off, Naruto said. Ichigo paled as he remembered the rumor. This man and the Mizukage was intimate with each other, while him himself has never seen them together since he was always on missions or at the academy. Many other people had. And speak about how romantic their Mizukage and the hero were together. He muttered apologies to Naruto as he ran back up the stairs, as all the others except the ninjas from Kyoto were confused. Now that the battles were done, Naruto called all of them down as he gave them a speech. Congratulations to those who have made it so far. The finals will begin in a month. I suggest you use that time to train wisely and create strategies to defeat your opponent. Now normally we will draw numbers and you will know who you are facing, but in live combat you never know who will be your opponent, so we won't be doing that. Therefore, I suggest that you train to be able to counter any opponent you might come across. Good luck, and I'll see you in the exams, Naruto said. As the genin started to filter out, Naruto went over to Hanabi, wanting to talk to her about something about the finals. Time skip. After talking to Ebisu and Hanabi, Naruto got permission to train Konohamaru and his team. Since he saw them in the finals, he knew they were good, but compared to the Kira ninjas who were the strongest in this exam, they will have to be better. Alright, Naruto said. I'm sure you know why you're here. I plan on training you for this month, he said, as all of them looked ecstatic. However, before we get started on your training, I want to see how well you three perform. While I see the three of you fight in the preliminaries, I've always been of the belief that you never actually know what others are capable of unless you battle them yourself. As Naruto pulled out 2 bells and attached to its pants, your job will be to get these 2 bells from me. Use any trick necessary to get them. Don't worry, Naruto says he saw Mogi. Ready to speak, you don't have to actually get a bell. I will train all of you regardless if you get a bell. I just want to see what you're all capable of. Also, you three would have to come at me with the intent to kill if you want to even lay a scratch on me. Well, begin, Naruto said. As he said that, all of them flashed away. Naruto instantly found them, as his senses were high at this point. As he reached into his pouch, pulling out a containment seal, as there's a poof of smoke as the apple came out. As he took an exaggerated bite of the fruit, as he was concentrating on the 3 of them were hiding left of him in the tree line. Several minutes later, Konohamaru burst out of the trees as he tossed kunais and shurikens at Naruto. The hand that was not eating the apple, Naruto grabbed all of the kunais and shurikens as he placed them in his pouch. He then felt foreign chakra invading his coils as he smirked, as he released the genjutsu that Mogi was casting on him, as the Konohamaru in front of him disappeared. Naruto did it so subtle that Konohamaru was unaware of that the genjutsu was broken, as he lashed out with a kick towards Naruto. Naruto vanished before Konohamaru's kick could hit him. Konohamaru's eyes went wide when he heard a voice behind him. You know, never let your enemies get behind you. Hidden Leaf Secret Technique. 1000 Years of Death. Udon and Mogi could only watch as Konohamaru released a terrified scream, as Naruto simply chuckled as Konohamaru was sent sailing into the river, as he always wanted to do that since his genin test. Moments later, Naruto grinned as he looked at the 3 genins. All of them were tied to the post. It didn't matter if they didn't get 1 bell or not, but it was just fun to have someone tied to the post other than him. They were actually pretty decent for a genin, well, while they didn't touch him. He knew that many of their strategies could have probably taken out a few Chunins of this village and probably even given some of the Jonins a run for their money. Well, despite of not getting a bell, you three did well, he said, as all of them smiled. I now have an understanding of your skills. 3 clones were created behind them as he slashed the ropes, freeing them. Now then, this will be the schedule for the month. In the morning, we're going to do physical exercises, chakra and sparring in the afternoon, and tactics and jutsus, and anything else I feel like you might need. He then looked up. Since we still have a few minutes before lunch, we're going to do some physical exercise. As he then gave them a grin that made shivers run down your spine. Alright you three, I want you to start with 20 laps around the training field, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 squats, 100 log kicks with each arm and 100 log kicks with each leg. As all of them looked at him with wide eyes. Didn't you hear me? Get moving, Naruto said. That shocked them into action as all of them get moving, running around the training field. It took about 4 hours for them to finish. When they did, they were all lying on the ground looking like they were about to die of exhaustion. Not bad you guys, Naruto said, but they were even too tired to move to look at him. As Naruto pulled out a scroll and unsealed it, as a picnic was in the entire scroll with a bouquet of foods all over, different kind. Before anything, I want you guys to get your energy back by eating up. Naruto blinked as all of them, the previously exhausted Genins, got up rather quickly and started to eat. As Naruto went and got some for himself as he ignored them as they stuffed their face. Once they were finished, they all got the piece of paper to channel their chakra in for Naruto to see their affinity. Mogi became wet as she had a high affinity for water, as Udon became wrinkled, showing that he had an affinity for lightning. But Konohamaru had one side lit on fire and the other side turned to dust. Looks like each of you have different elements, Naruto said with a nod as he thought about how to train them best. Resealing the picnic basket, Naruto created 2 clones as one of them went over to Udon and the other went to Mogi. I want each of you to follow one of us and we will teach you how to use your affinity. As they went off, Naruto turned to Konohamaru. Before we begin on your elemental training, I want to know how you're dealing with that jutsu I gave you before I left. Not good, boss, said Konohamaru. It's just so hard to do it. I have not even got past the first step. I expected that much. It's a pretty hard jutsu, Naruto said. But thankfully now I'm back, I'm gonna help you work on it, as well as your affinity. Alright, Naruto said. Let's begin. As the time passed for the first week, Naruto trained them in physical exercises as he added weights to them. Afterwards, he made them spar with each other and himself, as he then pointed out their flaws and showed them what to do better. After lunch, he would work on their individual exercises, their different affinities, and also different fighting styles. Time skip made sigh at the terrible amount of paperwork. Sometime, because of this, she was regretting to take the job as a Mizukage just because of this damn paperwork. Even worse, her Naruto wasn't here to give her those godly massage. Thinking about him brought a smile to her face. Because of the Chunin exams, they haven't been able to see each other for a while now. However, she sent a team to participate, a team she knew would make it to the final rounds, especially since they were trained by herself, Ayo and Kojo in the shinobi arts. If they pass, I'll be able to visit Konoha. I'll probably even go there a bit early, she said. But then there was a knock on her door. Come in, she said. As Ayo walked in and gave her a bow. Mizukage-sama, we just received word that all 3 of our Genins, who we sent to Konoha, has passed. A grin spread across Mi's face. Thank you for informing me. I would like you to inform the council of this and tell them that I'm going to see how our Genins fare. She had just made to the door when Ayo mumbled behind her, I think you're just gonna visit Naruto-san. I swear, back in my day when 2 people like each other, they would just get married and be done with it. Mei slowly turned around, a smile on her face, a rather too sweet smile. Ayo, shut up, or I'll kill you, she said. Ayo's eyes widened as he realized he said that out loud, as he tried to talk his way out of it, which just made it incredibly worse. But guys, in the end episode right here, remember to stay in tune for what if Naruto was the Akatsuki king, and what if Naruto was born in the Uzumaki clan. And also on this channel, I'm going to be posting a new episode of what if Naruto got his memory seal away. So stay tuned for that and I hope you guys enjoy. But I'm out for now. Peace.